literally, Bliner, it has less kebab shops than Abertillery, so yeah, we got them slightly beat, you know. So, right, why is an entrepreneur talking about Pokemon of all things? Well, obviously, it's very topical at the moment. Recently, it's been a huge success because of the phone app Pokemon Go. And also, you know, I've been interested in this for a while. So when it was a big success in the 90s, I sort of looked and saw the history of the brand and sort of how it's evolved. And there's actually a few business lessons to learn from it. You can sort of see how they've developed this brand over the years. So next slide. Right, so the creator of Pokemon is a guy called Satoshi Tajiri, who is a Japanese man who was obsessed with collecting bugs in his childhood. That might sound a bit strange to us all, but it's actually a bit more of a cultural norm out there. So he is actually autistic, and obviously that was a personal challenge he overcome. It was 1990 he started mapping out the concept for this. It was Capture Monsters. Here's some actual authentic sketches from when he was developing the idea. And it's interesting, it's like, obviously games are different from any other medium. You can sort of trace sort of the development process and development cycle. Often there was barely enough money to pay the employees of the company he set up to create this. 5 employees quit, and he didn't actually take a salary, instead of living off his father's income like many entrepreneurs in this room probably are doing, you know. So it was 1996 then, 6 years till the game actually came out, you know. A lot of struggling on the way. And then it came out 2 versions, which was a bit of a sales tactic, actually, to say, look, you need to buy both. And that worked. It became one of the biggest selling games of all time. It wasn't actually until this magazine spread, though, that it became a huge success, believe it or not. This is Koro Koro magazine, Japanese gaming magazine. And they were sort of teasing, look, there's a hidden 151st Pokemon in there. And that was actually the moment they described the brand as sort of taking off. And I say brand very carefully because that's what they started to treat it as. I mean, if you look here, there's a bit of an interview where they say, look, we started having weekly meetings to decide what merchandise we were going to license. We were very careful about what we said yes to and what we said no to. It was around this time the Pokemon cards came out, the television animation came out, and it was at this point as well that Pikachu became sort of like the forefront of their brand then. So before that, it was sort of like very open, you know, there's 150 of them. Here they thought, right, he's bright yellow. And that sort of was the only other children's character at the time that was bright yellow was Winnie the Pooh. So Pokemon actually holds a Guinness World Record for most photosensitive epileptic seizures caused by a television show, believe it or not. Although it was sort of up on an upward spiral, that was pretty much the moment that could have destroyed the brand. This was back before it even come out internationally. So it was flashing red and blue on screen in the TV show, and hundreds of children went to hospital as a result. Here's a CNN article from December 1997. Japanese cartoon triggers seizures in hundreds of children. And it's really interesting because, you know, once again, it's barely mentioned that it's Pokemon. So no one internationally knew what it was. And it's interesting, they handled that really well from a PR perspective. They were saying, look, our game is in black and white, you know, the animation is separate from us. And it was at this stage then that obviously, you know, they handled that quite well. They started to expand it internationally. And you know, if they hadn't handled that as well as they did, I don't think it would be the brand it is today. I say here about rebranding as well. I mean, it was Pocket Monsters, so it went from Capsule Monsters, Pocket Monsters, to now Pokemon, and they explained that was to make it more palatable to sort of US kids, make it sound a bit cooler, you know. And you know, it's sort of dropped in popularity since the 90s a bit before now. It still was turning over, though, £2 billion a year. You know, that's the type of business we're talking about here. So leading up to May 2016, you know, that £2 billion is a huge amount. And this was before Pokemon Go or anything like that. You know, I've said a lot about this being a brand. Here's actually a page from their brand guidelines document. So if you're marketers here, you know, obviously, you know, that's what you stick to. Those are the rules that you know, to keep everything consistent. Look, there's no real animals in the Pokemon world. There's no bugs. There's only these, you know. So it's actually the 20th anniversary of Pokemon now. And obviously a big year for them. But it's been made even bigger by the fact that there is this Pokemon Go application as well, which obviously I'm sure, put your hands up if you have got it installed on your phone. Go on, that's about half, I'd say. So here's a quote from John Hankey, which should be quite inspiring. He's the creator of Pokemon Go. It takes about 20 years to make an overnight success. And when he says that, I don't think he means Pokemon as a brand. I think he means his own personal journey because so his company is sort of separate from the main Pokemon company. Before that, he made an app called Ingress, which was another augmented reality app. And, you know, that went through sort of, they did a lot of fine tuning, you know, to make the end product, you know, lost for words now. So yes, he fine-tuned the ideas in Ingress to make Pokemon Go, and it was a creative process, you know, to make it more palatable to audiences. That slide before was about actually how the idea came about for Pokemon Go, which was actually an April's Fool prank in 2014 by Google. So Pokemon Go has actually become such a huge success that people are using it more than Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Tinder, you know, all these apps. And I mean, tying this all together, because 5 or 6 minutes isn't very long, the theme of this is, you know, even with something that we all see as a huge success, they had to go through a lot of perseverance, entrepreneurial sort of, you know, standing and creative process to make this the success that it was. Thank you anyway, guys.